going on, TFT? First time trying to do a live here while driving, so we'll see how this goes. But, yeah, so I wanted to kind of talk about kind of a few things here. What I've seen on the interwebs is an interesting little interview between, or I would say discussion between Charlie, Penguins Zero, and Sneako. And, yeah, so this is the thing. A lot of this kind of stems from the Mr. Beast situation with Chris and the whole interacting with minors. I already made a video that will be kind of being released soon regarding that. But some interesting conversations were had. Now, for me, when I'm looking back at what a couple of the nuggets that came out of here, notably, Sneako doesn't believe there should be there's no such thing as a minor, essentially. If there should be no age of consent, any age is okay to get married. Like a 14-year-old can get married to a 22, 23-year-old if they are mature, quote unquote. Which I think is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. The mental maturity between a 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old between somebody in their 20s should be vastly different. And it's just foolish. One of his arguments for it is he doesn't believe in government involvement. If both families come into agreement and agree that, like, this 21, for example, 21-year-old should marry a 15-year-old, that it should be completely okie dokie, nothing is wrong with that. And I think that's just absolutely disgusting. You know, there should be a minimum age of consent. I think 18 that should just be the standard. I know in the United States of America, you actually have some states with the age of consent around like even 16, 15, and which, to me, if I'm like 18 plus and I'm like, oh, let me pick you up from middle school, sweetheart, I think it's just a little bit on the strange side, to put it very gently. So I think Sneako's whole battle against the age of consent and how adults should be able to have a relationship with minors is completely unhinged. And it makes you wonder if he's just truly doing this shtick just to invoke rage, invoke invoke type of certain outrage, people being upset to get clicks, to get views. But if that's the case, that's truly pathetic. You know, if he actually does believe that a minor should be able to have a sexual relationship and get married with an adult, definitely needs to be added to some fucking list, to put it on the very nice side of things. So yeah, that's just something that is completely baffling, to say the very, very least. Kind of comes down to it, I think it's crazy. Now, the one thing on the flip side, I would say this. Charlie, this is where he kind of got caught in that conversation, because he was railing against the whole, no minor should ever marry an adult, which is something I agree with. I don't think a minor has the capability to really understand and grasp what they're getting themselves into. And overall, it's just, let's be honest, just completely fucking creepy. Where Sneako kind of caught Charlie is when Sneako flipped the script and said about trans people and transitioning children. Charlie said that if both adults and the child consents to it, that it should be completely okay. Now, listen, this isn't any type of hatred or negative rhetoric towards the trans community. I think if you're an adult, you should be able to do whatever the hell you want to do. But no, kids should not be transitioning. I mean, it's just such a life-altering decision. And at that age, are they truly able to kind of grasp the consequences of what they're doing? That's the big thing. At the age of 14, 15 years old, 16 even, do you really grasp that what you're going to go through, the whole transition process? Now, sure, there's going to be some people that say there's been some stories people have done it at a very, very young age, and they've been extremely happy with it, but then there's also stories where it's gone the other way, and unfortunately people they go through mental anguish, to put it in a very PC manner. I got to be very careful with the verbiage I use here, because the YouTube overlords don't like you saying what it truly is. But with a community with over a 40% self-forever sleep ratio, I don't think we should be encouraging children to partake in that until they make sure that that is what they want to do in the long term. So that's kind of where I get, oh my God, a little crazy here out in these streets right now. Let me speed up a bit. But yeah, I don't think that's okay. But we should be able to say we don't agree without being phobic. Hey, Misty, good to see you. Yeah, both Charlie and Sneako took L's in that conversation. Like, Sneako's whole, like, not wanting an age of consent at all, like, just going at kitty cheeks, like, that's fucking weird, if I'm going to be honest. That's extremely fucking weird. But I would say the same thing with Charlie, that, you can't be a hypocrite. If you don't feel like children are enough to make that smart decision to consent to an adult, I think it's the same thing with getting life-altering procedures that, it's not just a little thing where it's like you can reverse it, like, easily. It can be truly damaging, and just putting all these type of hormones and chemicals in children's body, I'm not really for it. Vinny says, I feel like you either go along with it or are POS for having your own opinion. I mean, yeah, maybe. I think when it kind of comes down to it, you just shouldn't care what other people think. What you think should be what you think. And if I get labeled as being a hateful person just because I don't want children to be harmed either way, I mean, I guess I'll take that. It is what it is. I think my main concern, especially as someone that's looking to have kids soon, is I just think that the betterment of children, we got to wait until they get to a certain age, until they become grown adults, so they can completely understand and rationalize what they're doing. And I'm all for it. You're an adult and you want to transition, that's completely fine. I think that's, do you. If that's truly what makes you happy, I'm all for it. But to allow it to happen when they're a minor, like, I don't know. I'm very against that, because they truly understand everything that's entailed. And then when you kind of go into the nitty-gritty of some of these stories of people that have regretted transitioning, I just think it opens up such a massive quagmire. So many negative outcomes that could happen from this. Hey, what's up, B-Lover? No, so essentially, Penguin Zero and Charlie, known on the website, had a conversation with Sneako. It was it was like 80, 90 minutes, I think, something like that. And I was kind of watching it kind of before I was heading into work, which I'm doing right now, so I'm doing this while I'm driving. And some interesting back and forth. Sneako essentially believe in an age of consent. Like, he believes that a 14, 15-year-old should be able to get married to like a 22, 23-year-old. Both parents can like allow it, and which I think is just fucking wild, first off. And then you had Charlie, who was kind of against that logic, kind of got it flipped on him when he said that children with consent should be able to go through transition surgery. So a little bit of hypocrisy from both sides, because Sneako rails against that, but yet he's for children. It was a very, very weird conversation. Vinny says, children aren't aware of the consequences of making such decisions. Like you said, they're life-altering choices. Yes, absolutely. They're completely life-altering. It's not one of these things that you just say, hey, I'm going to just transition, and then, oh, crap, I made a mistake once you get surgery done. I mean, it can be pretty negative. And then just also to the fact that you're pumping in all these negative hormones that are cancer causing, and can really affect the health of the child. Yeah, I mean, if you're an adult and you really want to go through it, absolutely. Like, do you? You're 18 plus, and you feel like you're in the wrong body. You're an adult. You're able to, in the United States, you're able to go fight in a war and die in your country. If you truly want to transition and be your quote unquote true self, go ahead. But I don't agree with any type of minor being able to have those procedures done. I just, especially with the rate, the percentages of self-forever sleep, I just don't think it's a very wise decision. So, Penguins is cool. I like his content, and I have seen him destroy others, but he does have a arrogance to him. He does give it off. Okay, I'll give off that I'm better than everybody else. See, I like Charlie's content, right? I think Charlie can come off as a very genuine person. I followed him from the video game days where he was like lighting up playing gameplay, just a bunch of goofy, silly phrases. It's actually interesting to see his maturation as a content creator as the years have gone on, and kind of him finally getting in front of the camera and just, spouting out what he wants to spout out. I think Charlie is a great content creator. I think as a human being, he's a great person. He gives to a lot of great needs. I just think that take was a little bit lukewarm, and but I think actually, freezing cold, especially if you're going to make comments of age of consent with marriage. It's like, so are they adults? So are they a child and they can't make decisions, or are they adult? That's the big conversation. In my honest opinion, I think they're both children, shouldn't have to be making any of those types of decisions until they become adults. Because again, not to sound like a fucking parent, but there's so many negative outcomes of it going wrong. Let's say they don't want to marry that person, or they don't want to, they find out that maybe that's not really what they wanted. They didn't really want to transition, and it was maybe even a quote unquote a phase. But yeah, I mean, I think Charlie, it was a bad take in my opinion, but considering I don't think he's, the human garbage that Sneako has become, I take it with a grain of salt. Not all of us are going to have great takes. I know I have had some takes that probably ice cold to a lot of people, but the beauty of it is, hey, freedom of speech. People can say whatever the hell they want to say. If you are allowed to make a life-altering decision like this, to look at the smoke and drive, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the big conversation, right? If you're going to go out there and put these very dangerous chemicals in your body and you want to smoke and drink too, at that point, might as well just let it all free game. Everybody can smoke, drink, shoot up, like whatever you got to do, I guess. But I just inherently don't agree with it. And it's kind of interesting. I'm wondering if Charlie could go back in time, if he would change his answer, or if he would just kind of stick with what he believes it is. But it's interesting because, like, pretty much every interaction between Charlie and Sneako, Charlie's had the upper hand. Watching that whole conversation out, I think probably a little bit more balanced this go around. But I really don't think that's going to negatively impact what Charlie in the long run. I think some people aren't going to agree with it. Some people will. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw like a Daily Wire, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro commenting on what Charlie said, just some clicks. I would not be surprised in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, I mean, it kind of is what it is in that regard. I think he'll probably get some clicks and some noise for it, but in the long run, I don't think it's going to damage him. As for Sneako, it just kind of continues this trend. Let me just check something real quick. We'll make sure this is going through. Yep, I just wanted to make sure I was going the right way. Make sure. But as for Sneako, this kind of continues the trend of him just saying shit to say shit. Because I like, what rational person, right, is like completely fine with a 13, 14-year-old ever getting married with like a 21, 22-year-old? It's just, I understand that he's supposed to be probably this top G, like that was his biggest inspiration at one time. But I feel like he's just saying shit to say shit at this point just so it's controversial and it gets clicks and it gets talked about. I mean, hey, it's successful. I mean, I'm talking about him right now on this small little podcast, but it's kind of a big fall for grace for me when I talk about Steve, because I've been one of these people that have tried to give him so much benefit of the doubt. Like, I made that one video that went completely viral, which I didn't expect, because I used to help Sneako back way back in the Call of Duty days. Him, Frito, and a few other people just used to talk and just be like, hey, like, just different editing things. But it's like, he always came off as a kid that had, a decent level of intelligence. And I'm wondering if that kid's still there in there. So, like, if he's still there, or if it's just completely gone and lost due to chasing the influencer bag. That's kind of what I wonder. As sad as that is to say, I wonder if Sneako is truly gone and lost in that sense, because it doesn't matter about integrity. Integrity doesn't matter. Having a soul doesn't matter. It just matters about getting the clicks and antagonizing people, which for the short term can work. That can get you some good views, but in the long term, you kind of become a laughing stock. Like, you don't really stand for anything. Sneako would say something that is valid, but then ruin it with his influencer. Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing with Sneako. Like, to say every single one of his takes are cold would be incorrect. I think he has had some correct takes at times, but then he'll open up his mouth and say something so mind-blowingly fucking stupid. It's like, really? You just said that out loud? Like, maybe should have kept that in the chamber. And then, it makes me wonder, like, maybe him being on the Mr. Beast squad would have made far more sense, considering that's what he thinks with the whole kids getting married thing. It's kind of an asshole joke, but hey, it is what it is. But yeah, I think ultimately it'll be interesting to see if I'm just expecting conservative outlets to make some videos on Charlie, expecting probably the same thing for guys like Sneako, and say that his comments are transphobic, because that's just generally the playbook. It's actually kind of sad in a way, because when you really think about it, we all just like group up individuals into a certain subsection. We don't take time to listen to what they have to say. But it's kind of hard at times to go. He'll say some really stupid stuff at times. It just makes you shake your head. But felt like kind of getting on here, making a quick little live. I mean, DEG, if you see this and you want to chop it up into something, feel free. Had some time before going into work. I'm in bumper-to-bumper traffic. Amazing. Gotta love that. Amazing. But, yeah, the whole situation it's an interesting one to say the very least. I think it's, I don't know. It just makes me wonder if influencers are truly that closed off to society, or they're truly insulated, I should say, in their own bubble. Just some interesting takes. This isn't really about the Beast and Sneako thing, but I mean, with the whole, what just happened with the Mr. Beast, Chris drama, and the whole weird conversations with children, to put it very, very least. It makes me wonder if these guys get so lost. You gonna let me through, or are you gonna speed up like a complete jackass? Let me know there, bud. You're gonna be there you go. It lets me know that these people are just, I don't know, they're fucking weird. And maybe, you want to succeed on YouTube and you want to get big, and then when you see all these scandals come out and all this immoral behavior come out of all these big popular YouTubers, It's like, it makes you wonder. I mean, I know power corrupts, but like YouTube power, is that corrupt? Like, do weirdos just succeed in life, right? Is it just that, right? Is that what it is? It just, you gotta be a fucking weird, deranged individual to succeed. I'm not saying every person that's been successful on the platform, but over the last few years, some of the disgusting human beings that ended up getting exposed for disgusting things, whether it was trying to have illicit conversations with children, abuse, manipulation, and just things of that nature. It does make you wonder, does it take that certain individual with a lack of empathy to succeed at such a high level on this platform? Not everyone's like that, obviously. It's just weird. Maybe it has nothing. Maybe it's just kind of circumstance that's why that happens. It's just, oh, okay, yeah, these two people, they were just complete assholes, and that is what it is. But it's interesting. It seems like these content creators slash influencers, they get to such a high level and a certain level that they feel like they're beyond reproach. So, but I don't know. It's just interesting to notice, and wondering, maybe the old YouTube bag and getting that money is not necessarily the greatest thing in the world. I'd rather take being a good person, keeping my sanity, and doing the right thing over making millions of dollars than being a scumbag. And I'm not saying, for clarification, because that will get taken out of context, I'm not saying Charlie's a scumbag. I think it was just a bad take, but whether it's like the EDPs of the world, the Chris's, Mr. Beast, did not look good thus far in those receipts that have been kind of put out there in the universe. I mean, what was that chick, the pyramid chick? What was her name? She did like these documentary type style, like exposed videos. Illuminati, right? Yeah, Illuminati. Like, you just have some human garbage on YouTube. But I mean, maybe that's just like in life, right? There's going to be a certain percentage of the population of people that are just human trash, just garbage people. But all right, so that's kind of my take for the day. My rant, my rambly conversation. I need to kind of focus up, get ready for work. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. And see you. If I know how to end this one. This one. How do I actually end this fucking thing?